Hello, I want to share some of my favourite movements for the governing and the conception vessel, which is really our whole midline between our perineum up the front of our body to our mouth and up through our spine. So it's going to be really good for your spine. It's mostly our spine that we're focusing on. So I want to start by introducing you to the mudra I have created for the governing and conception vessel, which is basically by placing this regulating points of lung 7, which is on the lung meridian which ends in the thumb, and small intestine 3, which is on the small intestine meridian which ends in the little finger. And these are points that are said to regulate the whole vessel. So it's good to start with them, making this mudra, thumb and index finger together. So it's like the lung, the breath of life, and the small intestine connecting to our heart and small intestine. And the other 3 fingers are just holding lightly the space. Because as we can raise this mudra up to the space and say the affirmation, which is, I am the source, and I am connected to the source, so that we can connect with the energy coming in from the top of our spine, the top of our head, the 100 points of meeting, and we can gradually draw that down and feel this movement coming down through our body, internally as well as externally, connecting first with our brain and then coming through to our heart. And then we can turn this mudra so our fingers point lightly to the earth as we connect with our palaces, our reproductive organs, and we connect with our back, Ming Men. So governing vessel and conception vessel, even though we're coming down through the front, the yin, we connect with the yang. And so we can connect lightly to the earth, connecting to our heels and our feet, which are the paired regulating points which help to anchor the conception and governing vessel, our ankles and the stepping vessel. I'll cover that in another video, but just for the moment, connect with the earth. And then open up your arms and just do that movement again, keeping the mudra, really opening up to the heaven, opening your heart and your brain, and leaning back a little bit if that's comfortable, and then gathering in the energy of the space, coming down through your brain, through your whole central nervous system, through all of your endocrine glands, gathering down, feeling a kind of spiraling movement as you come down and turning your hands lightly to the earth. And then taking that mudra behind your back to connect with Ming Men, the gate of life, just checking that energy is flowing here. And maybe you want to soften your knees very lightly, but don't over tuck forwards or backwards. Just feel that there's a nice flow in this point, and then placing the mudra now wherever you want it to be, just connecting with your breath within your body now. The in-breath lengthening your spine all the way from the pelvic floor, from the coccyx to the top of your head, and the out-breath feeling a softening of your spine. Feel a strength in your basic posture. Breathing in and breathing out. Also engaging your perineum. As you breathe out, allow your perineum to gently draw up. And as you breathe in, feel a relaxation. You may even want to place the tip of your tongue on the top of your roof of your mouth to help with this movement, keeping the mudra. breathing out, drawing up through the perineum, tongue, tip of your palate, but palace, a connection with the palaces. Great, and then we'll do this movement one more time, and this time we'll draw down and continue to curl down to the earth, feeling that you're gathering everything in to your physical body, so that now you feel the yin at the front of your body nourishing you, and the yang at the back of your body protecting you. And you can really relax your head, neck and shoulders. And when you're ready to come up, really try and feel that you're coming up from Ming Men. The gate of life is supporting you. The yang is enabling you to stand upright, being nourished by the yin at the front of your body. You may even just put your mudra in front and feel the fluid space in front, the memory of our placenta and blood nourishment, and the memory of the fluid space at our back, our amniotic sac, which will eventually, as we come down, our amniotic sac bathes us in fluid and protects us. And then you can slowly curl up again, and you might just want to play around with that basic curling down movement, uncurling, maybe opening up, as long as that's good for your back, and just getting a kind of wave-like movement in your body just for a moment, feeling this wave of fluid in your spine. Just do it quite intuitively. Just do whatever movement feels good in your spine. How do you want to move your spine? Do you want to move quite slowly, or do you want to move more quickly? But really feel the source of the movement is in governing vessel 4, the lumbar spine. And then maybe one more time curled over, relaxing the head, neck and shoulders. And then slowly curling up. And so now we're going to come down to really being aware of our perineum, connecting lightly to the earth. This is the connection of governing and conception vessel, and our spine. And we could actually do some curling movements in this position, just gently rounding the spine and opening up. So rounding forward and opening up. You may or may not be able to do this for an amount of time because your legs might get tired. So I'll do it fairly quickly, but also rotation is important. So the 4 major movements of the spine that are important are flexion and extension, which is what we've been doing, rounding and then opening up, but also rotation. So moving to the left, coming back to the centre, moving to the right. So you get a nice rotational movement of your spine in this position, feeling the base of your perineum supporting you. And then we're going to come closer back to the earth, coming down into the squatting position and really feeling the vertical axis of conception and governing, the perineum, and bring your hands together in the mudra, thumb and index finger, little finger, lung and small intestine, feeling this space coming down from your brain into your heart and staying in the squat for a moment. Feeling your spine in this position. You could actually also do a little bit of forward movement and backward movement. We can't extend quite so much in this position, but just rocking forwards and backwards. You could try a bit of rotation moving around, maybe having a hand on the ground and rotating around your central axis. Again, do this listening to your body, feeling what movement feels good in your spine. Maybe first rotating with your hips as well, but then try and isolate the movement in your spine if you can. So put a hand perhaps behind, rotate around, turning your head, coming back to the center, rotating the other way, turning your head, to get that rotational movement of your spine. Maybe with the out breath coming around, breathing in, and then with the out breath coming back to the center. So then we're going to slowly come into all fours. All fours is a great position for these two vessels, especially for getting this extension, flexion, opening up the chest, the back of the neck, but obviously listen to what feels good for your body. Again, finding the rhythm and the movement of breath as well. Just really rounding, feeling conception vessel as you curl up, really gathering in your abdominal muscles. Often it's good to do this on the out breath. And then as you breathe in, really getting that movement in your spine of the governing vessel. Feeling the muscle tone of the yin as you curl around. And then the lengthening of the yin as you curl up. And then it can be good to get a rotational movement. So keeping your hip and your arm as stable as possible, just shorten the distance between your hip and your shoulder, and then come back to center. So feel that side movement of the spine. It's like rotational movement, stretching one side and then the other. And then we could do a little bit of a rocking forwards and backwards. And then I like the child's pose to really just rest and be much more now with the yin part. Letting your yin be really nourished by the earth conception vessel, really resting your forehead on the earth. Although the forehead is governing vessel yang, just rest and receive the yin along the front of your body. You might want to be aware of your pelvic floor in this position as you breathe out, really drawing in, and as you breathe in, letting it relax. You can have your arms in front of you like I have, or you can rest them along the side of your body. But really being aware of your midline of conception and governing vessel. And then we're going to slowly uncurl from this position. And you might find you want to open backwards. Do this only to the extent that you're comfortable. You might just want to bring your hands actually just on the floor and just lean back. So starting with your hands on your floor or maybe your fists, just use your knuckles, to slowly open up your spine, but obviously listen to your body and feel if this is right for it, to really drop your head back. But it really opens up the conception vessel. And then you can come forwards and just rest for a moment, just feeling that movement of opening up, softening your arms, softening your shoulders, Really feel the power coming from conception and governing vessel. If you want to have your hands more on your ankles, that's a bit more of a stretch. So again, just listen to your body. Holding your ankles though is not bad and not a bad idea, because it connects with the paired regulating points, which are the stepping vessel points, kidney 6 and bladder 62 for those who know. So if this feels good, stay in this position for a few more breaths. Otherwise, just stay with the previous movement, slowly coming down. And you may even just want to rest back from this position. Again, you can have your hands on your heels, ankles if you want, and just open back here. That's another alternative to really get lovely movement in your spine. Then using your hands to guide you back up. It's quite good after that to slowly rest again on the earth, either arms by your side or in front. And then you can slowly come into the seated position, where another version of stretching our spine, making sure you're sat nice and upright with your pelvic floor on the earth, feeling the power in Ming Men, feeling your heart, and coming up to heaven. Again, you could make the mudra in this position. Lung 7, small intestine 3, well, we're not touching the points, we're connecting with the fingers that relate to them, looking up to heaven, and then bringing that energy as you forward flex, making sure that you try and keep your spine as flat as possible. So don't necessarily try and aim for your feet. If you need to be more resting at your knees, then that's fine, so that you keep your spine nice and open at the front as well. That's the thing, sometimes people collapse at the front, so nice supported spine, neck in line. So either touching your toes, or the ankles is quite good because it's these kidney and bladder points, and you can just hold here for a few breaths. And then you can come up and do the mudra, connecting to the heaven, and then fold down to your ankles, letting go of the mudra, but still connecting with your thumb and your little finger to hold the inside and outside of your ankle. Breathing in and breathing out, and just stay with this as long as feels comfortable. And then we want more of a rotational movement, so we can bend one knee, support the arm, and keeping the mudra in one hand, look up to heaven, and then move around and feel that rotational movement in your spine. Turning to look behind you. Breathing slowly and deeply. Breathing up and breathing down to come to touch your heels. Breathing in, bringing the other knee around, the hand on the lower back, looking behind you, you can keep the mudra in your hand that's on the knee. Feel the opening in your chest and your mid-back. And coming up. It's probably quite good to do that one more time each side. Hopefully you feel more movement. The mudras, the leg, curling round. Pausing for a few breaths. turning your head as much as you're able, lifting up to heaven, coming down, and the other side. Looking up to heaven, feeling spaciousness coming into your body, turning around, looking behind. And then we'll come back to all fours. Because downward dog is actually a really good, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on downward dog as a lot of people are familiar with it, but just lifting your heels up and coming into downward dog and having a nice stretch. Head down, lengthening your spine. By now, hopefully your heels are nicely relaxed, so you can come up onto your toes and then down onto your heels. Perhaps alternate the right and the left, coming up onto your toes, down onto your heels, getting this connection with the stepping vessels. And just rest for a moment or two. Another way of feeling the yin quality, the yin connected to the earth, but also of lengthening your spine. And again, you might want to do a few movements in this position, moving your knees, getting a spiraling movement. And then we will come to lying on your front. So lying on your front, to just pause for a moment. And then this is the base of all movements, is again gradually just some extension, coming down, breathing in. It's having your hands by your shoulders, lifting up if that's comfortable for you. Just do a little baby cobra, very good for governing and conception vessel. If you want to push yourself up a little bit more, then lift up more, holding for a few breaths if you want, and then curling back. These are very much movements that babies make in their first year because they need to strengthen their spine. So I often see babies doing this extension, flexion of the spine, but also turning to the side. So you can try turning to the side and then coming back to the centre and down, lifting up and turning to the other side. So you're getting a rotational movement or side flexion and coming down. And then babies also often do this movement where they lift their hands and their feet away from the ground. That's really strengthening for the yin and the yang. So again, only do these movements if they're comfortable for you. But lifting up, this is very much what babies do when they're learning to go in their first year, all the different developmental stages and movements. First connecting with the yin and then moving away, developing strength in the spine to support all other movements. You could also do that even more, bringing your hands behind your back, maybe connecting thumb and index fingers and opening up, if that feels okay, and coming down. Doing that a couple of times. You could also try with your legs. And then, if this isn't too strong for you, lift arms and legs at the same time, half bow. And then slowly relax. And we'll just do that. Whichever version is good for you. So the stronger version is this half bow. And the next one is leaning like this. And And then the next, just a little movement. And then you can rest down. Maybe we'll end here, just resting completely flat on the earth, perhaps resting your head in your hands, feeling the yin of conception vessel being supported by the earth, feeling like a newborn baby resting and receiving nourishment from our first earth, our mother. So thank you for sharing this practice of working with the governing and conception vessels with me. I am the source, and I am connected to the source. I nourish myself from within, and I am able to guide and protect myself.